Hello, fellow diamond painting addicts, and welcome back to Diamond Painting Anonymous. I'm Daphne, and I'm here today to share with you the finish of one of my kits. As you can see, I had plenty of drills. This kit had 4 ABs included with it, but I added in some additional ones. So you can see, as usual, I've marked with my little dot which ones I was going to do additional ABs for. However, there were a couple that I marked that I ended up not using as ABs. So this 600 color I actually had in a glitter, which was on her face. I didn't feel like the glitter was appropriate, so I ended up not using that one. And then 820 was one of the background colors, and I had intended to use it and kind of sprinkle them in. But there was so much of this, it was a background color, and I just felt like maybe this would make it look a little bit weird, so I decided against using those. So I didn't use those two. I also had these 4 ABs that I ended up using. So I used a white, a pixie dust that I actually used in her face. This one only got used very little in her eyes, I believe, and then this is one of the background colors. So I had those 4 ABs, and then I had these 5 additional ABs that I actually used all up in this kit. This one is actually one that I broke my own rules. This is a color that went in her face, and I'll show you that when I show you the canvas, but I used up 5 ABs because the point of keeping them is to use them, so super happy with that. So the original 4, and then these 5 and these 4, so another 9, because you can't have too many ABs or fairy dust, right? And I had plenty of drills left. I didn't run out of any colors. I did have multiple bottles of some of the background colors and things, but no issue with running out of any of the colors. So there's that. So let me show you the trash. And as you can see, there is not a ton of trash. I had a couple of square drills that ended up in here. Don't know how that happened, but it is a round kit. Not very much trash. This kit is 50 by 50. So not super small, but not super big, but not a ton of trash. So happy about that. So now that we've talked about all of that, let me grab the canvas and we'll look at it. And here she is. I think she turned out cute. I do have some little niggly things that I wish were a little bit different, but I think she turned out cute and I'm really happy with her. A lot of the ABs are on this side in her hair. Here's some of the background ABs that I added. Those are some background ABs that I added. I added some ABs in her eyes. Here is where I use the ABs in her face. And there are some up here in her forehead. I typically don't use ABs in faces because I think it looks weird, and I do think it looks a little bit weird. I should have just used what was charted, but I didn't have very many of these, so I thought, oh, I'm just going to put them in there. I don't think it looks terrible. It does reinforce that I don't like putting ABs in skin. I don't mind doing it in eyes and makeup, that sort of thing, but I could have used some of the glitter ones in her lips, but it was also some of the same colors that got used down here. That was another surprise for me. In the original image, her dress looks black. This is more kind of a very dark blue and kind of purpley. That makes her skin look more red than it does in the original image. Maybe I'll do a side by side so you can kind of see them next to each other. But it was easy to do. It didn't take me very long. I think it took me 20 total hours to do this one, which is not bad for the size. Of course, there's a lot of multi-placing in the background colors, in her hair, and all of that. And I will, of course, take B-roll so you guys can see up close all of the work that I did. Again, as always, my drill placement is not perfect. I multi-place, and so sometimes there are weird gaps. I also do sections, so I try really hard to overlap my release paper so I don't end up with obvious lines where I've done a section, but sometimes I don't realize it until I get done with the whole thing. I did go over this to make sure that I hadn't missed any drills, so if you find some, let me know. I try to do that with all of them, but sometimes I still miss some. I did really enjoy all of the blues in this. I love her hair and just all the different colors of blues that got used. Like I said, I think the skin on her arms and her shoulders here, I know it's covered by her dress, but it just looks a little too red to me. Maybe it looks better on camera than it does in person. I don't know. And of course, you'd be viewing this with a distance. It's one of those things where it always looks stranger close up because you have your nose right on the canvas when you're drilling it versus standing back from it and seeing what it looks like at a distance. But I really enjoyed this one. It's Bella Art Diamonds, of course, and I don't think I've ever been disappointed with a Bella Art kit. All the ones that I've done have been super cute. ABs that come with it, plenty of spaces for me to add additional ABs. You can see this blue that I added on both sides here. Just, I had a lot of fun with this one. I really like the original image. And then when I started drilling it, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like all these blues, but it's actually way more colors than you think. So you got whites and teals, and yes, blues, but also purples and some reds and pinks, and then of course all the colors in her face. But overall, yeah, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. There was hardly any trash, which was good. I got to add in a lot of extra ABs, which made it fun as well. And I didn't have any symbols that were similar enough to be confusing, so that's always nice. I've done a couple of kits lately where there are a couple of symbols that seem almost the same and it gets very confusing. So none of that with this one. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Can't wait to do another one. I don't think I have any more by this same artist. I've done a couple of her kits. The Bubble Girl that I did earlier this year with the octopus, the little mermaid, is the same artist, I believe, as is one I did last year, which was the reindeer, the girl with the reindeer mug and the reindeer antlers, the kind of Christmassy one. So clearly I really like this artist. But I have a couple of more from Bella Art. They're on the smaller side, so I may get to them later rather than sooner, but never been disappointed. If you haven't tried Bella Art, highly recommend. Let me know what you think. Does the ABs here look weird? Does that reinforce that I shouldn't be using ABs in skin? Did I add in too many extra things? I know people think sometimes I add in too much bling, but I love adding it. I mean, I'm saving my ABs. What am I saving them for if I'm not using them, right? So let me know what you think. If I need to break the rules again when I feel like it, or if that's a rule I shouldn't break, as far as skin goes anyway. That's it for me today, guys. Thanks so much for sticking around till the end of the video. Before you leave, don't forget to do all the things. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification icon so that you can be informed of future uploads. And as always, guys, thanks so much for watching.